Well, Professor Harshvardhan Pant, the Vice President of the Observer Research Foundation, is with us. He'll help us unpack this story a little bit. Professor Pant, what happens if Hamas is excluded from Gaza's future?
Well, this is something that perhaps is very important for Israel, given how much investment both military-wise and diplomatic Mr. Netanyahu has done when it comes to his Gaza adventure. So clearly, if Hamas is not part of the administration, if Hamas does not represent a viable political entity in Gaza, Mr. Netanyahu can sell this off as a big political victory and thereby lead to some sort of accommodation within the political framework in Israel, because the right wing in Israel wants annexation of Gaza. They want something drastic to be done. So for him, for Netanyahu in particular, this is very important that Hamas is no longer a contender for political leadership there. If that can be demonstrated to a certain extent, I think that would be something that he can take home and and say that I have delivered.
Also, Professor Pant, why does Israel oppose involving the Palestinian Authority now?
I think Israel, this is something, once again, which Israel feels that after October 7 attacks, this is something that they need watertight guarantees that whatever happens there will certainly be led by this transitional authority that Trump's plan talks about, rather than any kind of Palestinian authority, which in the past, according to Israel, has not been able to manage and administer the territories. So I do think that for Israel, this is about projecting a sense of victory. This is about projecting a sense of strength and projecting to its own people that those who were governing these territories no longer are governing that territory, and therefore it would seem to be a much more complete victory for Netanyahu again, that he could sell to his domestic audience. So I think by and large, he has no love lost for Palestinian Authority, given that he feels and his government feels and many in Israel feel that they have not been very effective when it comes to governing, both administering civil administration, but also providing security to the Israelis.
So this transitional authority will also likely have peacekeepers or a peacekeeping force, which will involve the Arab states. So will these international forces limit Israel's control over Gaza?
I think to a certain extent that would be the intent behind projecting this peacekeeping force. But it depends on what is the composition of this of these forces there, because only those countries with whom Israel will be comfortable, Mr. Netanyahu, I think, would be able to sustain that. If there are countries that have been anti-Israel and that have been vociferously anti-Israel in their public denunciation of Israel, I think that those might create problems for him domestically. So I think you'll have to wait and watch to see the composition of these forces. But clearly the idea would be that if there is a transitional force there, peacekeeping force there, with certain actors who can actually have the confidence of both sides, that can work as a buffer in terms of the conflict in the region, and that can prevent this conflict now from escalating once again.
So Netanyahu has a problem with coalition pressure, but he also has a problem with people on the street who want a solution fast. So, I mean, how does this affect his decision-making at this current time?
I think that's why we are witnessing a sense of urgency, perhaps for the first time since October 2 years back, that Mr. Netanyahu is feeling the pressure from multiple vantage points. There is pressure from his coalition partners, which is taking him in one direction. There is pressure from the street, as you said, which wants the street wants early resolution. They want
the hostages back. Yes.
Yes. And there is also pressure from the international community. I mean, he's getting isolated fast and in ways that are quite unprecedented. This recognition for Palestine by European states, it can have a cascading effect around the world if Netanyahu is not careful. So I think he's feeling the pinch, and he's therefore willing to countenance a few measures that perhaps a few months back he was not. But clearly, once again, we'll have to wait and watch and see how his politics manages this transition. It's one thing for White House to declare that, look, we have this plan in place and Mr. Netanyahu agrees to the outline of these plans. But we know from our past experience that many such plans have been offered and many such plans have now not been fructified because of the domestic political debate in Israel and the kind of political pressures that Netanyahu has been under. Of course, also the fact that Netanyahu, in some ways, for many would argue that he wants to continue. He wants this conflict to continue for his own interests.
Professor Pant, also there are reports that suggest that this could be a Tony Blair-led Gaza Authority that's going to get control. Or somebody of his stature or somebody like that, can we see someone who can gain trust from both sides? And are such people being talked about publicly who can actually fit in, who don't belong to either side, but actually can get them together?
Yes, I think there are two elements to this. Any such transitional authority would need people of a certain stature. The complexity of this conflict, the historical nature of this conflict, the sensitivities involved in the wider Middle East require someone of Tony Blair's stature who has a direct line to most political leaders in the world. But I think what it also needs, and which I think Tony Blair has demonstrated in his career, a good administrator. This is not simply a political position. This is also a position that requires administering on the ground. And as we know, first of all, building Gaza back, administering aid in particular, and preventing the kind of nightmarish situation that we have seen emerge in the last few months. So I think you need a combination of both, and Tony Blair certainly fits the bill. The question is, will he be willing to take the risk at this point? It seems as of now he's interested, but I think as the complexities unfold, perhaps we may see a different conversation emerge sometime soon as well.
We leave it there. Thank you very much, Professor Harshvardhan Pant, Vice President of the Observer Research Foundation. Thank you for unpacking that for us.